very honored to be here. I want to thank Dr. Eastman for the opportunity. And I actually quote Dr. Eastman at the beginning of my paper because at the time I thought I might help me get an A in her class. So in her book, Jack London, A Study of the Short Fiction, Jean Reisman writes that it is London's short stories that contain his greatest treasure as a writer. Out of his nearly 200 stories, London declared one in particular to be the best. These are London's words. I incline to the opinion that The League of the Old Men is the best short story I have written. The voices of millions are in the voice of old Imber, and the tears and sorrows of millions are in his throat as he tells his story. His story epitomizes the whole vast tragedy of the contact of the Indian and white man. But as many of you know, there's much more to the story than the fall of the indigenous people of the Yukon. I thoroughly dissected Imber's thoughts and dialogue and explored how within Imber's attestation lies not only the sorrow of millions, but also evidence of London's own internal conflicts of race. To support my analysis, I primarily cite James McClintock's White Logic, Jean Reisman's Racial Lives, and Susan Nurnberg's Called Kind. And just to kind of set the tone of the story, I'm just going to read the very beginning. At the barracks, a man was being tried for his life. He was an old man, a native from the Whitefish River, which empties into the Yukon below Lake Labarge. All Dawson was brought up over the affair, and likewise the Yukon dwellers for 1,000 miles up and down. It has been the custom of the land-robbing and sea-robbing Anglo-Saxon to give the law to conquered peoples, and oftentimes this law is harsh. But in the case of Imber, the law for once seemed inadequate and weak. In the mathematical nature of things, equity did not reside in the punishment to be accorded him. The punishment was a foregone conclusion. There could be no doubt of that. And though it was capital, Imber had but one life, while the tale against him was one of scores. And at that point, or soon after that, we learned that Imber is on trial for forming the League of Old Men, whose mission it was to eradicate the white race from the Yukon.